Hi and welcome to the Monday Live. Well into July now and hopefully into summer, although I think the months before July were slightly warmer, but there you go. Hopefully you're happy and enjoying yourself. We are ensconced in Teams bidding in the month of July. That's what we tend to focus on in July. On Fridays we've been dealing with Moisian fits, 4-3 fits and the like, and we're doing one more on that with examples sent in, and then we're going to move on to minors on the Fridays. And every so often, if you're a non-member, you get the chance to join us. You can always join us anytime. You can always buy anything we do, but we sometimes do special offers as well. Because we have the teams running. We've been having some fun on that, and obviously because I'm playing teams on Wednesday, I'm trying to think about the bidding particularly and when the bidding varies. And it's surprisingly that it varies a fair amount. I mean, today we're going to focus on the big scores. And that's one of the funny things when you play a pairs game. If you get a minus 1100 or minus 1400, it's a bottom and you move on to the next board. When you do it when you're playing teams, you've got to show your teammates, and you'll find that it lingers for a little bit more than just one board, because of course it'll be a score that you've got to try and get back. In pairs it doesn't work like that. A zero is a zero, whether you're minus 10 or you're minus 1000. They actually, they're the same. If you see what I mean. That's what's odd, and it does make a lot of difference to the tactics. So we'll look at that. What else have I got in my mind? Well, we are still celebrating, of course. So we are still celebrating the 3rd birthday, and what that means is you've got opportunities to get into the prize draw. And that's as a non-member or a member. So they are separate draws, I should say, and there's more prizes for the members. But as a non-member, just make sure you register with us and we will give you an entry. As a member, you can have as many entries as you want. The more you do, the more entries you've got. A little bit of a note to those of you on the Into Bridge. Really sorry about what happened last Monday. I've had a great deal of apologies from Stefan and those on the site. The director wasn't available for personal reasons and unfortunately didn't make that clear to anybody else. So a number of you were waiting around and not knowing what was happening, and so you've all been double entered into the draw. And hopefully you'll be willing to sort of turn up again. So Into Bridge, don't forget, that's at 7:30 on Mondays, free of charge, and do have a go. But you can do anything else, just send an email. Love getting an email with hands. If you've been playing teams, and remember, teams is the same as playing imps scoring on BBO or any of the sites you play on. So if you do play imp scoring, you get your score in imps, so you can then compare your scores in the same way as we are, basically, in teams format, and so your decisions will be similar to what we're discussing. Sean saying happy birthday there. I think she might be thinking of Helen's birthday, which was last weekend, and so we had a nice stay in a hotel, which we're hoping to use down in the New Forest. So that, look out for that over the next week. A little launch coming. Very nice indeed for hopefully some more gourmet events. So look out for that. We rather enjoyed it, as I will be telling you when we do our launch. Okay, I mean, the other events, the more normal events we do, well, we've got a beautiful event in Carlisle Bay. That's 5 stars, our luxury gourmet event. So that's our one and only of that category at the moment. We've still got a couple of rooms left. So if you are interested in that in September, do ring, and of course for that you ring Cornwall Discovered. I mean, you can always ring our office and we'll be happy to chat to you, but to actually take any bookings, that's Cornwall Discovered there. And of course we've got our denims and our in on the prom there's Blunsdon. We are going to the Old Barn as well. That's in November, so we are all around. And what I'm planning to do is launch my events that are coming up soon. So we've decided what I'm doing up until around July, August time, particularly on the cruises and the holidays abroad. So we're going to Tunisia hopefully next year, looking forward to that, and Iceland as a family next year as well. So there's going to be lots of lovely events that we'll be doing as a company, and looking forward to showing you those. I know some of you love the cruising, some of you like hotels abroad, some of you love weekends, and some of you do not, have no interest in going on bridge events at all. So and don't forget, if you do want to see it, have a closer look, go to our website. Now, what we start with generally, if I get my mind around it, is the 5-level decisions. That's what we're on now. 5-level decisions. So some of you will have seen this on Friday. This is what I call our hangover. And what I do is I give you this now, and then we see what we'd feel like doing. So it starts with 1 club from your partner, and you respond 1 heart. Nice and simple at this point. Unfortunately, South decides to get involved with 1 spade. Your partner jumps to 3 hearts, and North jumps to 4 spades. And so that is what we mean by a 5-level decision. Your annoying opponents have decided to up the ante. Nobody is vulnerable here. And we'll be looking at examples over the coming weeks and months where vulnerability will be different and all sorts will be different. But here, let's have a look. It's gone 1 club from West, 1 heart from East, 1 spade overcall, 3 hearts, 4 spades. So it's your bid, and we will revisit this. We will revisit this after our little seminar. Don't forget also, if you are a novice or beginner, we will have our novice beginners at the end. So there he is. We'll leave that for the moment, and we'll come back to it. And we are going to go to our little mini seminar on Teams bidding. So let's have a look. So we've been talking about it a lot this month. And what I'm going to do, if I'm honest, I'm going to take a couple of the big hands that I put in the seminar. So some of you will have come across these already, but they nicely sum up this element of it. And so there is a big difference. So I love telling people that if they don't get a -800 relatively regularly, they're not bidding enough. But the key is, this is at duplicate pairs. And the idea being is that, let's imagine your opponents can make 620 points in a game contract. Well, then if I'm going for a sacrifice, if I give 500 away, I get a complete top because they should have got 600. Every so often I will misjudge and give 800 away. And if I get 3 out of 4 correct, I will get 3 tops and 1 bottom. And that gives me 75%, and I'm very happy indeed. As we're going to see, that's not quite the same at Teams, because I've gained a lot, I've gained a little on a number of hands, but that little gain gives me a top, because everybody else is playing in a game, and I've gained, essentially I've probably only gained about 100 points. But if you give 800 away, well, as we're going to see, every so often you give 800 away and your opponents can't even make their game. And that becomes something like a 900 point swing, which is ugly. Your teammates will wonder what happened. Okay, so playing pairs, it's just a bad board. And in fact, it's one of the most important aspects of pairs. If you can deal with your bad boards well and think, okay, that's just a bad board, move on. -800 on one board, -50 on the next may well be a complete top. Okay, so you've got a -800, oh dear, bad board. -50, I just sneak past it. Everybody else is making 110 the other way. I just give away 50, get my top back, and I'm back to level pegging. unfortunately, playing teams, a big swing of -800 and just a little gain of 50 on the next one doesn't equalise. And that's really important. So playing pairs, you can quickly catch up. One bad board could be caught up on the next board. Playing teams, if you've given away a swing of about 800 points, to bring it back may well take you 3 or 4 good boards. So avoiding big swings is important. Now, of course, if you happen to make a slam, you get big swings. You get big swings different ways. But what I mean is sometimes I love taking a gamble. And playing pairs, gambling tends to work more than at teams, because at pairs you've got no teammates to upset. Let's look at a simple example. As I say, a number of you will have seen this from the big seminar. Let's just repeat it. So let's imagine your right-hand opponent's south opens 1 heart. Okay, let's imagine that has been opened. Nobody is vulnerable. What would you fancy with this hand? So nobody is vulnerable. Now, playing weak jump over calls, I am quite happy with 3 clubs here. But traditionally, the normal overcall with this hand would be 4 clubs, and it's not completely unreasonable. It really puts the pressure on your opponent's 4 clubs. And playing pairs, I'm not completely averse to it. Okay, given that if you're playing weak jumps, I think 3 clubs is reasonable, but a non-vulnerable 4 clubs can really get in the opponent's way, and if they haven't got a heart fit, it makes their life really difficult. Clearly, every so often, 4 clubs is going to go a fair bit off, and you'll get a bad score. But if it's only, if you think about, you know, you're going to gain more often than you don't, because they might not be able to judge, then 4 clubs I quite like. Playing teams, though, I think 4 clubs is a little bit too much. Okay, because 4 clubs, generally at the 4 level, your opponents are more aware of being able to double for penalties. 3 clubs, playing teams, they're going to, you know, oh, I'm not sure I want to double that. Once you get to the 4 level, they tend to focus a little bit more on penalty doubles and are much more likely to take that. And so I would be worried and wary of giving away a big score. So let me show you 2 layouts, one of which you only lose 300, and actually the opponents might be able to make a gain, so you might make a small gain on the board. The other one, like this one, where everything goes wrong. Okay, and not only does everything go wrong on this one, okay, but it goes wrong in a big way because your opponents cannot even make a gain because your partner hasn't bid here. Now, of course, he could have passed in another auction, but the key here is that 4 clubs puts everything on you. So imagine it goes 1 heart and you bid 4 clubs. Okay, so I've just shown you 1 bid. I'm not going to go through the auction. But let's say it goes 4 clubs and perhaps your opponents are playing penalty doubles, or north passes and it goes pass, double, a reopening double from south, and then that gets passed out. 4 clubs doubled is an awful contract, isn't it? Okay, it's really going to be ugly. You know, they're going to take, you know, 3 diamond tricks, a spade trick and a heart trick. That's 5 already, and they're going to make 2 club tricks. So it's going to go a comfortable 4 off. If you get some, if you misplay it, you might go 5 off. It is horrible. On the other hand, unfortunately, would you believe the opponents cannot even make a game? So that your opponents in the other room will make +100, having made 800 in this room. It is horrible. There's a 900 point swing. Now that's unlucky. It's a really unlucky layout, but it's 900 points difference. That is 14 imps. The problem I've got on hands like this is that when you do gain, let's say you do gain, let's say you go, I mean, let's change it. Let's change it to this kind of layout. Okay, well, it's a bit more favorable for you, isn't it? Okay, on this kind of layout, you know, the opponents may well make a gain. So to be honest, if you bid 4 clubs, it would probably go 4 hearts from north anyway. So I think they'll probably end up in game. But if, let's say they double you, let's say they decide to double you in 4 clubs, you will make a gain. Okay. And now the gain you make is only 120. Can you see the difference? So here, clearly on the previous board, you'd have got a bottom playing pairs. On this one, what I'm saying is north-south should be bidding to four hearts. But let's say they make the mistake of doubling in four clubs. You would get a top score playing pairs. Now, you'd still get a good score playing teams, but you only get 3 imps for it. Now, compare the 3 imps to the 14 imps. Okay, so imagine you did it 4 times and you got it right 3 times out of 4. Okay, now playing pairs, you'd get 3 tops and 1 bottom. Okay, playing teams, it's not the same. Let's just show you that. Okay, so let's say we had 2 boards, 1 top, 1 bottom, but imagine you had 4 boards. You'd have 3 tops and 1 bottom. So let's say you've got you're judging really well. 1 bad board, 800, and 3 good boards, 75%. We'll all take that. So playing pairs, that works. Playing teams, it doesn't work at all. If you just played 2 boards, 1 right, 1 wrong, you'd lose 11 imps. Even if you did it 4 times and got it right 3 times, it would be minus 14 plus 9. So you'd still lose 5, even if you got it right 3 out of 4 times. Okay, I'm hoping we're okay, but there's a few of you going missing here. I hope some of you can see me. But anyway, so the idea is that the odd bad board playing pairs is okay, but a really big swing playing teams is ugly. So be really careful here about the big swings. Okay, that doesn't mean we don't preempt, that we don't come in. Okay, that's really important. Okay, it's really important that you're still being preemptive, you're still getting in the way. It's just every so often we all get a rush of blood. And rushes of blood are okay playing pairs because they don't cost you too much. Rushes of blood playing teams are slightly difficult. Okay, so let's look at another example, and this is the classic. This is my favourite type of play, playing pairs. When I'm playing pairs, I love tight penalty doubles. Particularly when your opponents are vulnerable. A doubled under trick vulnerable is beautiful. That's 200 points, just one off. A really aggressive double. We love that. Okay, we love that. But playing teams, you do not want tight penalty doubles. You still want to be penalising them when it's right. Don't get me wrong, I love it. If they're in 2 spades and there's a bad break, 2 spades double can get you 800 and you get those lovely scores that we're talking about. But it's the tight ones that are less, are really, you stay away from. Generally playing teams, when you're doubling for penalties, or you end up doubling, as in you pass a takeout double, the most common thing. When you're in that situation, you're aiming for 2 off, not just 1 off. Okay, so in fact, if you end up taking it 1 off, you should think, well, should we have done that? Or maybe they were lucky and they made an extra trick somewhere. But your ambition when you're doubling at teams is to take contracts 2 off. Playing pairs, you're happy with 1.5 off or 1 off, because particularly if they're vulnerable, 1 off can get you a top. Let's look at an example. And again, I'm taking this one from the big seminar, if those of you who've seen that will excuse me. So a misjudged penalty at teams can be ugly, because what scores do you get? I'm sure some of you are familiar with 2 spades doubled and making. It's your 470s and your 670s. Okay, and again, what you've got to remember playing pairs is that if I double them in 2 spades, okay, and they make, I get a bottom. Well, if I double them in 4 spades and they make, I get a bottom. Okay. Okay. I still remember that. So I get it wrong, I get a bottom, but if I get it right more often than not, I do well. Okay, but playing teams, it doesn't work like that. Let's again look at that simple example. Well, not a simple example, but the example that we have. So look at the top right hand corner, it's both sides vulnerable, game all. Okay, and this is a classic auction. So one spade from south, pass from you, from the west hand, two spades from north, and then it goes pass, pass. So one spade from south, two spades from north, west is last to bid, and whether I'm playing teams or pairs, I think this is a clear-cut take-out double. You are last to bid, because remember, quite often you may well be able to make a part score yourself as well as the opponents here. So this can be a big swinging board. So I'm going to borrow a king from my partner and I'm going to double for takeout. I know we must have a fit, surely. And very often if the opponents have a 9-card spade fit, we will have a big fit. Okay. Now, East has a decision to make. His best suit is clear cut. It's diamonds. However, East is also thinking to himself, game all, if I can take them one off, that'll be a nice score. However, it's not a particularly nice score at teams. I get 200 if I take them one off. Well, if I could make a part score, that's 110. What's the difference? Very little difference at all. 90 points, 3 imps. Okay, so I'm not prepared to take a gamble where two spades might make. And what I'm going to do is show you two layouts, one where two spades makes and one where it goes off. If I was playing pairs here, because of the 10 and 9 of spades, I would feel I'm favourite to make two trump checks a lot of the time here. With my ace and king of diamonds, that could well be 4 tricks. Surely there's a reasonable chance that my partner's got at least 2. And if he has got 2, we take 2 spades doubled, 1 off. At least, bear in mind it can go 2 off and things, but we take 2 spades doubled, 1 off. 200 is a top score. There's not a game on this board, so if you get 200, you beat every part score. And that's the important thing to understand. At pairs, I'm prepared to take a gamble because I'm calculating. I believe that 75% of the time I'm going to take 2 spades off and it might go 2 off. My partner might have the singleton jack of spades or something like that, for example. Okay, it's not, he's going to bid the same way. So I am prepared to take that gamble thinking that I'm going to get 75% of the time 3 tops. If we play the board 4 times, I'll get 3 tops and 1 bottom for 2 spades doubled and making. Okay, playing teams, it's a huge difference. Let's have a look. Okay, so if we choose to pass, it's I think a reasonable option playing pairs, but playing teams, I think you go 3 diamonds and play safe. Okay, so let's look at those. Here's the first layout, and it's rather nice for us, isn't it? Okay. Bear in mind, I could have given your partner something different. If he had the ace-king of clubs, you're sure of 2 club tricks, etc, etc. But here, we're hoping that South has the king. Of course, most of the time he will have. An aggressive 2-spade raise by North. And in a way, you could say he gets what he deserves. Okay, he's decided not to pass 1 spade. He's bid 2 spades. The points are in the South hand, and of course, you're able to pick them up. I hope you can see that most of the time here. Interesting question there. Alan's asking, what would you lead? I wouldn't lead a heart here from the West hand. Why not? Because I think if partner had good hearts, he may well have bid hearts. So I would tend to lead a minor, and therefore I'm not going to lead away from my ace of clubs, so I would lead the diamond. I don't mind the 4 of spades lead, but I prefer the 7 of diamonds. Notice I'd lead my highest there to make it as clear. So the defense would be lovely, wouldn't it be? 7 of diamonds would go to the king. Partner would switch to a club to the queen. Another diamond to the ace, and then another club. I suppose you could play 6 of diamonds, 7 of diamonds to hopefully avoid, but partner can see the doubleton and dummy. Okay, and another club, so you can take the first 5 tricks in diamonds and clubs, and actually quite often you might make 2 spade tricks. However, if declarer plays east for the ace-10-9, which he may well do, he can escape for 1 off. 1 off is a complete top here for east-west. Nobody's making a game contract. 200 points, thank you very much. Of course, a lot of times the auction may well go 1 spade pass, pass, pass at a lot of tables, or perhaps 1 spade pass, pass, 1 no trump from east, and you might make 1 no trump as east-west, but of course it's not worth anywhere near plus 200. Notice that playing in a teams tournament, teams game, all you're doing is gaining 90 points. So instead of playing, you had a choice of passing the 2 spades doubled out or bidding 3 diamonds, you'd gain 3 imps. That's lovely. You know, that's a nice gain, but it's not very much, is it? And very soon on the next board, that could be wiped out. Whereas pairs, you've just got a complete top. We love that, playing pairs. Here's the same layout. Well, here's another layout. And it could just as easily be this. Okay, I think, to be fair, you are favourite to take 2 spades down, but here I think two spades is going to make. Unfortunately, the king of clubs turns out to be in the north hand. Okay, and the spades, they may well be able to pick the spades up. So you may well find yourself losing 2 spades doubled making. Now, playing pairs, it's a bottom. Okay, so be it. But as long as I think I'm getting 2 spades off more often than not, I'm going to get a good score at pairs for me on this board. However, at teams, 3 diamonds would have gone 100 off, 2 spades doubled making. That's a 570 point difference. Remember, because 3 diamonds hasn't made, they contrast each other, those 2 scores. But 570 is 11 imps. So once again, if you get it right 3 times, so 2 spades goes 1 off 3 times, and you get it wrong once, you lose in the long run. 3 times plus 3 is 9, minus 11. You'd go down, as it were. Now, to be fair, 2 spades doubled might go off for 500 sometimes. So in theory, you have to weight it all and work it out, and some mathematicians will enjoy doing that, okay? But to be honest, I think if I passed the double for penalties on this hand, so once again, the auction goes a spade, pass, 2 spades, pass, pass, double. If he passes it, I think for me, I'm passing it hoping to get it 1, maybe 1 and a bit off. Okay, I'm hoping that it'll go 1 and a bit off, but that's not quite enough playing teams. You like to think, do you know, I think I'm going to get this contract 2 off. I mean, to be honest, ace 10 9 8 of spades might be enough for me to be brave, because I think, well, with ace 10 9 8, surely I am guaranteed 2 tricks, because you know I'm going to be able to kill 1 of their honours, and I will definitely get a second spade trick. It seems perhaps reasonable, or another high card, or maybe a singleton as well as long trumps, or a 5th spade, all sorts of things. So it's not that I'm not going to be doubling, okay? It's not that element that I'm talking about. It is more the case that my calculation is based on, I want to take this contract a lot off if I'm going to pass a takeout double. And there will be a lot of times that I love passing, and we've seen a few in the teams games we have, where you do double your opponents at 2 hearts and 2 spades. We had, I think the most recent one was 1 no trump getting doubled, and then we doubled them. I think that might have been 2 clubs actually, we doubled them. But even if it had been 2 spades, we'd have wanted to double them. And of course we were getting 800, 1100. So don't make this as an excuse to not penalise them in part scores, but what we're not doing is doing the borderline decisions, okay? Whereas pairs, an aggressive part score, penalty double, or a pass of a takeout double can get you some wonderful scores, okay? And you should enjoy it, and that's what we try to do in January. We should do it all year round, but I ask you to do it more, if you can, in double annui at the beginning of the year, because usually if it works enough for you, you'll carry it on. That's the plan. Anyway, What have we got? Well, I can't remember. I've got to show you the cruise. So that's the one. That's the one I did this year actually, which I really enjoyed. And Elaine's going next year. She's going up to the Northern Lights in March. As I say, really enjoyed it myself this year. We, it was cold. It was cold, but it was fun. Okay, the double fit. The double fit. Let me take you to that. So, I'm sorry. A number of you had said it was a double fit. You're quite right. So let's look at the hand. One club from your partner, and of course that's a really important bid. Now, interestingly, playing 5-card mazes is a little bit tricky because one club doesn't necessarily mean partner's long, but we're not. We're playing ACOL here. So when partner opens a club and then jump raises in hearts, I am placing my partner with 5 clubs and 4 hearts. So just to explain that, when I have 4 clubs and 4 hearts, I do not open one club, I open a heart. So it's important to be happy that I'm placing partner with 5 clubs and 4 hearts. And what that means is we have a double fit. Okay, we have 9 cards in both. Now, what that means is it's one of the only rules we have at the 5 level, and that is generally if you have a double fit, bid on. Okay, if you have a double fit, bid on. Okay, now, do we bid 5 clubs or 5 hearts? I don't really mind. I think 5 clubs will work. I mean, let me just check who's on lead. Your partner's on lead. If your partner's got ace to 4 hearts and ace queen to 5 clubs, clearly you're going to prefer your partner to lead a club. So 5 clubs is okay. The only worry I have with 5 clubs in this auction is it might well advertise the fact that we've got a double fit to your opponents, and they might feel, well, maybe we've got a double fit, so we should bid on. But I don't mind 5 clubs or 5 hearts, but I want you to bid on. So notice I'm overlooking the fact that I've got that doubleton spade, because we mentioned this last week. Doubletons are not nice in the opponent's suit. Having said that, given the auction 1 spade, 4 spades for your opponents, a lot of the time that will be a 5-5 fit. A lot of the time South has shown 5 for the overcall and North has jumped straight to 4 spades, and we know North doesn't have a strong hand. So it wouldn't surprise me if they've got a 10-card fit. Okay, but the key is there will be times that partners got ace queen to 5 clubs, ace king to 4 hearts, and a singleton somewhere, and we can run our tricks, or an ace somewhere, and we can even make the contract. I think the key on hands like this is you'll sometimes find 5 hearts doesn't make, but 4 spades does, because so often when we have a double fit, they may well have a double fit as well. So I don't mind. I'll bid 5 hearts here, but I don't mind if you bid 5 clubs. South has bid 5 spades. That's interesting. I tell you what, we'll open up the board so you can see. I wouldn't have bid 5 spades with the South hand, but that's another matter. Oh, how's that happened? Oh, I forgot to save the hand the right way. Pretend you didn't see that. Oh dear. Yeah, so this is a double fit hand. Ooh, I'm annoyed with that. But anyway, I've just got to change the hand to the way it was. So bear with me. Okay. So this is the full hand. So apologies for that. And the auction finished with a double from South. So you've just seen the hand that I had created for another one. But there you go. So in 1 club, I'll just show you the auction again. 1 club, pass, 1 heart, 1 spade. Hope you're happy with 3 hearts from West. I think that's a nice bid with 14 points and a singleton. I don't think he's quite strong enough to jump to game there. 4 spades from North, great bid, love it. Okay, I suppose some of you might show a second suit there. 4 diamonds promising spade support. That's what's called a fit bid in this kind of auction. We chose to bid 5 hearts here. Okay, and South then doubled. Okay, and that is the end of that. Okay, so Do we want to be on the hand you saw before I've given you the hand that I wanted? It was a double fit, so both sides could make 11 tricks, and that's something that will come up later, but we will and we'll discuss that. And that is where Brian was asking about. That is where teams bridge is very different to pairs bridge, and we will see that. Okay, but here it's gone 5 hearts, and South felt, look, I've got a strong hand here, I'm going to double. Bit of a dangerous double from South, I have to say. But he didn't want his partner sacrificing in 5 spades, so it's worked well on this hand. Okay, because 5 hearts goes off. Can you see that North might be tempted, if South doesn't double, North might be tempted to think, well, look, I've got no defence at all, and he might be tempted to bid 5 spades, which would be a disaster. Well, not a disaster, but not a great score. Can you see that? 5 hearts double just goes 1 off. Okay, 5 hearts double just goes 1 off, and that's if the defence get it right. Now, the defence should get it right, but they do need to take the ace of spades and the ace king of diamonds. Can you see that? If they don't, we can discard a diamond loser. So it's important, the defence have to get, they have to take the first 3 tricks, but I think they'll lead the ace of spades, I would have thought, and then see the singleton and dummy switch to the ace of diamonds and another diamond. And at which point they will get, but they won't always do that, I have to say. Some of them will switch to a trump, thinking they need the ace queen of diamonds over the king, that kind of thing. So, you know, they might not get it right. So 5 hearts might make, okay. The key, so South's double, he's doing it because he is a very strong hand, and I do understand it, and of course it has stopped North bidding, because I think if South passes here, it could easily go past 5 spades. North's thinking, well, look, if partner can't double 5 hearts, there's no way I'm taking it down. Okay, and so North-South end up getting plus 100, but of course that's much better than allowing North-South to make 4 spades. So generally with a double fit, when you know you've got a double fit, what do we mean by a double fit? Well, we've got a fit in 2 suits. We know we've got a fit in hearts because partner supported us, and we know we've got a fit of in clubs because partner opened clubs. So you'll find that double fit here, it'll be the same at teams, I think. Yep, I'm pretty sure, because South is looking, he feels that most of the time he is going to defeat 5 hearts. Okay, if South pass though at teams, undoubtedly North would bid 5 spades. Okay, so it does require South to double. Notice at teams though, bidding 5 spades is not that expensive. It's a difference between 50 either way, or maybe if someone doubles, you know, but it'll be 50-50 or 100-100, not a huge swing. Whereas game swings, if let's say they can make a game and you could have made a cheap sacrifice, you know, there'll be 300 or 400 difference there. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed that one. We are going to be looking at lots of those. Do send in examples of 5 levels if you fancy them, but and I you know, every so often I can use a prime example. Here's the bidding quiz to finish with. Let's have a look. And we're still on that theme. 1 no trump on your right, you pass to start with. 2 diamonds transfer from North. Your partner doubles that. South bids 2 hearts, and it's your bid. So a 1 no trump pass, 2 diamonds transfer, double from your partner, 2 hearts from South, and it's your bid. Okay, so I think that's quite an interesting one. And see how you get on with it. You can get the answer on the website, or on whether a member or non-member. So once again, 1 no trump pass, 2 diamonds, double from East, 2 hearts, and it's your turn to bid. Okay. Good luck with that one. Well, thank you for that. Hope you enjoy the week. Do join us for teams on Wednesday if you fancy that. That is actually the special offer. I'll mention that to those of you. I have to find out where that is. Oh, I forgot to mention one other thing as well. I'm on the way up to my cruise, the cruise that I'm doing in the fjords. I am doing a charity event in Scotland and Stirling. So if anybody is up that way, or if you're going up to the cruise and you fancy going up one day earlier, I start my cruise from Forsyth on Tuesday, the 8th of August. So on Monday we are going to be at the Stirling and Union Bridge Club, just for a morning, because I didn't want to overstrain myself before the cruise. So just just for the morning there. But that could be some fun for some tea, lots of chat, and we're going to do some set hands with it as well. So if you are about to, or mention it to someone else who is, but hopefully we'll raise some money there for cancer research. And let me remind myself what the other charity was. It is the Strathcowan Hospice. A local hospice up there, so we are showing, but I'm doing that of course for free for the charity, and so hopefully we'll have a rather nice day up there. And I wanted to do something in Scotland because although I've got quite a few cruises leaving from there, I'm not doing enough, but we will find somewhere there. I know some of you will be bemoaning the fact that the next venue that we've got is down in the New Forest, but we've got a number on the cards. In fact, I'm told someone has talked to a hotel in Newcastle, so we will get there. We will get there. But thanks for your company, and see you again next week or later in the week. What I'm going to do now is move over to our little beginners slot, and we are still on preemptive bidding. So what we said was the preemptive level for opening bids is the 3 level. And pretty much everybody in the world agrees with this one. So pretty much everybody plays 3 level opening bids as preemptive bids. And what that means is that they show weak hands with long suits. Weak hands with long suits. We call them preemptive bids because the idea is they're getting into the bidding, getting in the way of our stronger opponents. And what we're trying to do is make their life a little bit difficult. Okay, the strength generally is less than an opening hand and a 7 card suit. So 5 to 9 high card points and a 7 card suit. How strong does that 7 card suit have to be? We will come to in a moment. But let's remind ourselves of the example that we saw last week. 6 lovely points and a gorgeous diamond suit. This is my favourite type of preempt, a solid diamond suit. You've got 6 tricks if you play with diamonds as trumps. But imagine hearts were trumps. You might make no tricks at all. Someone may well have a singleton in diamonds, they'll be ruffing, so your hand is useless, but playing with diamonds as trumps, it's gorgeous. So getting in the way of your opponents is a valuable thing. And it's just understanding. Remember, your partner will understand because everybody in the world plays the same way. So your partner won't think, oh my goodness, he's bid 3 diamonds, he must be strong. An opening level bid, opening bid at the 3 level is a weak bid. It's different when we're in the middle of an auction, very different, but an opening bid of 3 diamonds. Okay, so let's discuss them a little bit more. How strong does your suit need to be? I prefer to have at least 2 of the top 4 cards. Ace King, King Queen, King Jack, King Queen, something like that. Okay, all right. Ideally a bit more strength. The one I gave you was King Queen Jack 10 9. Okay, but 2 of the top 3 count. So have a look at this one. Here you've got your 6 points, but that diamond suit is a little bit too weak, isn't it? Okay, so we would probably pass. Now, as you grow into the game, when you've played a bit more, you'll be given chances to bid in other ways. Okay, but at the moment we are combining a descriptive bid with a preemptive bid. So these preemptive bids are descriptive. They're saying, partner, I've got a decent 7 card suit. Now this is certainly not a decent 7 card suit. So by describing your hand, quite often you help your partner. Because remember, one of the disadvantages of preemptive bids is sometimes your partner will have a strong hand. So you've got a weak hand and your partner's got 17 points and wants to know what to do, please. Well, you'll be happy to know we will be looking at that. Okay, but here we would pass because the suit quality is too weak. However, let's change it. Let's put the Queen Jack in there. In fact, I've given you the Queen Jack 10. You've got 2 of the top 4. I give you permission to open 3 diamonds. It's a beautiful descriptive bid. Partner, I've got a good diamond suit. It's 7 cards in long, but I haven't got many points. Okay, so it's a preemptive bid. It makes life difficult for our opponents, and we will see that in the coming weeks as well, because we've got to see how we deal with these bids, because they do come up. They do come up, okay, relatively regularly. So there is something that we do have to contemplate again, and we've come across it when we've talked about overcalling. And we'll come across it over and over again because it's a fundamental part of duplicate bridge as a whole, and that is understanding vulnerability. Okay, now all of the ones I've shown you I haven't given you any kind of vulnerability. Do you remember vulnerability? Well, vulnerability it's a relatively arbitrary thing nowadays, but essentially there's 2 positions that you're in. You're either non-vulnerable or you're vulnerable. And if you're playing boards, for example, you will see stickers on the board. The only time you will know your vulnerability without having stickers is when you play a game called Rubber Bridge. And that is a game where you are playing as a foursome, and you play what are called rubbers. And they're the first person to get to 2 games. Okay, so you play hands, and let's say you bid a game and you make it. You would then become vulnerable, and your opponents would be non-vulnerable, and maybe they bid a game on the next hand, they would become vulnerable as well. Now when you're vulnerable, it's more risky. Okay, you give away more points if you go down. You do gain more points if you bid your games and things like that, but you give away more points. And what we're going to see is that's going to make a big difference to the amount of bidding we want to do, particularly preemptive bids. Because preemptive bids, we're bidding at the 3 level with just 7 points, for example. Surely that's risky. It is. But it's less risky if you're non-vulnerable, because it doesn't cost so much. Okay, so understanding vulnerability is going to be at the center point to preemptive bidding. Okay, we've seen it, as I say, with overcalling and how we bid there, and we'll try to understand it again with respect to preemptive bidding, and I will explain the way the scoring works with that respect as well, and then we will compare the kind of hands we might open vulnerable and non-vulnerable. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed that, sticking with preemptive bidding for a little while. It's quite an important aspect of bridge because it comes up quite a lot, and you'll find that everybody plays this way. So understanding that these 3-level opening bids are always going to be weak is going to be really important. Hope you enjoyed that. See you again soon.